gather round. Now gather round. I'm the new fool in town. Now gather round. I'm the new fool in town. Now gather round. Now gather round, round. I'm the new fool in town. I'm the new fool in town. I'm the new fool in town, and my sound's laid down by the underground. The underground, the underground, the underground, the underground, the underground.
Yeah.
He could go all the way.
Touchdown. Not again. Hey Wildcats, I'm David Carrow here with another episode of the Wildcat Underground. Well, the Super Bowl's coming up and everyone has to get their preparations, buy their parting goods and stuff like that, and I might even have to buy a new cell phone. But before I even get to that, let's go to Joe Kurzawa, who has some information about the commercials of the Super Bowl.
Thanks, David. For some of you on Super Bowl Sunday, you get more enjoyment out of watching the commercials than the game itself. But not a lot of you are aware of how much time, energy, and money goes into making these commercials. We spoke with Mrs. Butler from Adelphia Digital Cable to find out more.
An average 30-second time slot in Newark, Ohio is about $20 a spot. According to USA Today, the most recent article on the Super Bowl spots for 2006, it's going for an average of $2.5 million per 30-second spot.
This year, the Super Bowl has reached a $2.5 million for a 30-second commercial spot. This is up from last year's $2.4 million. The company that claims to be the king of beers is also the king of the Super Bowl advertising.
Obviously Anheuser-Busch, there's usually always a big new beer commercial. Pepsi and Coke are the ones that come to mind. And then of course a lot of the different .com companies.
This year's Super Bowl big spenders consist of Anheuser-Busch, which purchased 10 30-second time spots during the game at $26 million. Pepsi, which purchased 4 30-second in-game spots for $10.4 million. And General Motors, which purchased 1 60-second spot for $5.2 million. Big-name companies are doing anything they can just to get their hands on a time spot during the Super Bowl. This is due to the large amount of viewers watching the game.
Well, there's always a risk that the commercial could flop, and that's happened with a few people. There's always a risk. We saw that last year on the Super Bowl during the halftime show. But there's also a very large guaranteed audience. We all know that people are going to watch the Super Bowl regardless of what local team they work for or what local team they're rooting for. So there's a risk if the commercial flops, but you've got a guaranteed audience. So it's a pretty good calculated risk.
So when you're watching the Super Bowl this Sunday and the commercials come on, make sure you don't touch that dial. For the Wildcat Underground, I'm Joe Kurzawa. Back to you.
Well, got the shopping out of the way. Now it's time to set up for the party. Let's go. Well, it seems that no party can be done without, some chips. It seems very necessary. But just like chips are necessary items in a party, footballs are necessary to play football. So Tessa Gordon went up to Ada, Ohio to see where the National Football League footballs are made. I liked it.
A couple hours northwest of Columbus, there is a small town called Ada, Ohio, with a population of under 6,000 people. There are only 2 things about this town that might attract your attention, one of which is Ohio Northern University. The second thing people might find interesting about this town is that it ties into the greatest media spectacle in the world. Of course, that's the Super Bowl. What does this small town have to do with the Super Bowl? Well, let's find out. That's right, the Wilson Football Factory. From a big sheet of cowhide to the gridiron of the Super Bowl, we are going to show you how football is made at the Wilson Football Factory in Ada, Ohio.
This factory here in Ada is the only football factory in America. This factory here has been here since the late 40s. Many millions of balls have come through this factory. Our workforce itself is, a lot of different family members, whether it's a brother or a sister or grandma that's worked here. It's kind of a close-knit family.
Some people think that footballs are made out of pigskin, but Greg Miller, plant controller of the factory, says that that's not the case.
All footballs, the leather, it's a leather component. And, over the years, like I say, you hear it being made from pigskin. That's not the case. It is actual cowhide.
The large sheets of cowhide are then cut out and then later used as the outside sections of a football. These are the stamping machines. These machines can put any kind of stamp, color, or design on a football.
This is where the actual football gets its identity. And when I say that, it's because we can stamp anything on a football, whether it's an NFL, an F1001, F1003, 1005, or any youth league balls.
Next, the decals are put on the footballs. Then, to make sure the decals don't peel off, they sew them to the football. A really interesting thing about the making of a football is that they are made inside out, and this is the inside of a football. Then, the football is ready to be sewn together. After the ball has been sewn together, it is taken to the ball turner, whose job is to turn the balls right side out.
So, like I said, when it's in a full section, it's very rigid, it's not real flexible. So what we do is we put it in this steam box. It's very hot, and the steam makes it more pliable, more flexible for this gentleman to be able to then turn it.
This is called a pre-mold operation, and it forms the ball to look more like a football.
So now it's ready for bladdering and lacing. And what she does, she starts again by putting the bladder in it and another process, and then it comes back through is where she does her lacing.
I talked to Carolyn Boutwell, whose job is to inspect the footballs at the ending stages of production to see what all she has to look for.
First of all, we check the laces, make sure they have the right lace in it and that it's tight. And while I'm doing that, I'm kind of looking at the stamping and the sewing down the seam. And then as I turn it, I do the same thing. And if everybody has done their job right, then that's the number one ball.
Even though there's only one ball on the field at a time, you might be surprised at how many balls will be sent to Detroit to be used in the Super Bowl.
For the actual game, we will send out 72 balls. To that point, they go to the referees and they kind of keep an eye on them.
Well, there's a lot that goes into the making of a football, like this one that's going to go to Detroit for Super Bowl 40. I'm Tessa with the Wildcat Underground. Back to you guys.
All right, you gonna be there then? You're gonna be here? All right, don't be late. All right, see you then. All right, well, it looks like we got the guests coming, the party set up. I obviously got my phone fixed. But when everyone comes to the Super Bowl, they always know they're always the guru of who's gonna win. Well, we have Erica McCullough, who asked a few people what they thought.
That's right, David. Only 2 more days until the big showdown between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Seattle Seahawks. This will be the Seahawks' first time in the Super Bowl, and Pittsburgh will be returning for their 6th go-around. I went around campus and got some of your predictions on this year's game.
I think Steelers are going to win 24-21.
It's a tough choice, but I'm going to say Oakland Raiders. Probably going to win the Super Bowl by like 10.
I think the Steelers are going to win 27-10.
Wait, aren't the Oakland Raiders in the Super Bowl?
I think the Seahawks will win by 10 points. That's right, Rob Russell. 10 points, baby.
They're not? I didn't know that. God, I don't know.
Without a doubt, my favorite team, the Miami Dolphins, are going to win. Oh, wait, no, they're not in. In that case, the Seahawks, 10 points.
Steelers by 3 touchdowns.
I think the Steelers will win by 21-14.
Steelers are going to win 27-17.
I think Steelers are going to lose 24-7.
I think they're going to win, but I don't know by what.
I think the Seahawks are going to win 24-21.
Steelers are going to win with 24-0.
I'm rooting for the Seahawks, more because I can't stand Pittsburgh. than because I like Seattle. So I'm hoping it's 100-0, and I hope Mr. Doty and I hope Rob Russell are miserable because it's 100-0.
It's a very good question. I believe that the Pittsburgh Steelers will win the Super Bowl. Hands down, probably score probably be about, with their incredible defense, Ben Roethlisberger leading second in the league in passing. They got an amazing defense. The Blitzburg, Dick LeBeau is an amazing defensive coordinator. Bill Cowher is a great coach. Seattle has nothing on Pittsburgh. I mean, Mike Holmgren, Sean Alexander, whatever. But yeah, I think Pittsburgh's going to win. It's going to be about, let's see, I'd say, my opinion, it's probably going to be like 200-0, but people are going to, not think that that's right. So I'm going to say about 21-10, Pittsburgh.
I think the Steelers will probably win by a touchdown.
The Pittsburgh Steelers, 34-17.
The Super Bowl will be played this Sunday, February 5th. Kickoff's at 7:30, so make sure you tune in and see who comes out victorious. For the Wildcat Underground, I'm Erica McCullough. Back to you.
Well, it looks like I got everything set up. Got the party started. All I need is the people. And there they are. Come on in, guys. Alright, well, it seems like everything's ready. Hopefully your Super Bowl parties are successful too. Make sure you have fun and be safe. I'm David Carrow. I'll see you next time. Alright, hey, pass it over here. Who's in there?
What's up?